This is Red Eyes Radio. This is Red Eyes Radio. Welcome, my friends. I'm your host, Henrik Palmgren. I am coming to you from the west coast of Sweden. This is our weekly show here on bbsradio.com, and you can hear us every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. That's 10 p.m. Greenwich time. And a big thanks to everyone out there sending me emails with your kind comments, encouragements about the this radio show and the site. And I very much appreciate hearing from all of you guys out there. So a big thank you for all your support. And if you're new to this program, you can find much more about what we're doing here on the web. So check out our news website, which is red-ice.net, and it will help you keep an eye on things as it gets crazier and crazier down the road here. And I mean, the war in the Middle East continues, and now this latest terror plot thing over in England. And if you have been tuning in to the last few programs that we have been doing here and listening to the special focus series that we are making available through the website that you can download, you know that we have been spending quite some time on the topics of the war in the Middle East and how it connects to the Bible and Zionism and the state of Israel. And we've been looking back into history and exploring different threads of information and trying to, understand what is happening here and why. And today I have invited author and researcher Judy Andreas to join me on the program to share her interesting perspective on all these things and much, much more. And she writes excellent essays, many that appear on Renz.com and also, of course, on her own site, which you can find at judyandreas.com. So it's going to be very interesting hearing more about Judy, her articles, about her book, Judaism, and how she got involved on this. So welcome to the program, Judy, and thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I just want to tell people that my book, Judaisms, is spelled Judy.
Yeah.
ISMS, because some people think when they hear Judaism, they think I'm writing a book about the Jewish religion.
Yeah, that is correct. It's good to sort that out. And by the way, is your book available through your site, or how can people get that?
Yes, it is. People, as you gave my site, the 3 W's, judyandreas.com, they go on there, they can find out about it. It's a collection of my essays and then a little more.
Excellent. So, I mean, why don't we, begin at the beginning here, and maybe you can tell us who Judy Andreas is and how you got involved in this, very unpopular task of trying to unravel and understand reality.
Well, you used the right word when you said unpopular, because I just had a morning that really proves how unpopular I can be. Well, first I'll tell you, for the people who don't know, I was born of Jewish parents, and my mother was actually considered a Zionist, although I believe at that time Zionism wasn't as pernicious as it is now. I think it just meant people who wanted a homeland for the Jews.
Yeah.
My father would have been a rabbi, but he was Orthodox, but he decided to be a doctor because he had watched his own mother die when he was 16 of esophageal cancer. So he was kind of a poor doctor, one of those guys that made the house calls in the middle of the night with a little black bag, and if people couldn't pay, they didn't pay, and just, I guess, what medicine should be. I mean, he was quite idealistic and humane. And but I didn't grow up, he didn't really, if he did go to synagogue, he went by himself because my sister and I were rebels from the get-go. We weren't interested in getting up for any Sunday school classes or whatever.
Yeah.
And as we got older, we began rebelling against a lot of things. So we just didn't really go along with the holidays very much. My mother tried, but I guess she gave up after a while. And so I was kind of apolitical back in those days. I didn't really care. I was exploring all kinds of things. I was exploring the hippie culture, and then I was going, dabbling in different religions, and got involved with raising a family. And it wasn't until I heard a program on actually a progressive radio station where they were talking about Clinton and Bush being friends and being involved in the Mena, Arkansas drug drop.
Yeah.
And I was totally astounded. I was born into a typical liberal/Democrat family, and this was kind of, it was just such a disillusionment, and yet I believed it. And it started me that I started on a new path at that point, but I didn't get into Judaism/Zionism until I heard a program called Taking Aim, which featured Ralph Schoenman and his wife Maya Schoen. And all of a sudden, it started to dispel the myths I had heard in my household.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't grow up with any of this kind of racist stuff that I've read on the internet that that maybe more Orthodox families grow up with.
Yeah.
Because my mother had bad experiences as a child. She had been. She was in a neighborhood that on Easter Sunday they would throw stones at her family and call them Christ killers. And my father's family was from Russia, and they had been in the pogroms. His father had, his brother had almost been shot at, an older brother. So, so they were wary of what is. This is a tired word now, but anti-Semitism. You know?
Yeah, of course.
But when my sister and I both married out of the religion, we did not get any real flack over it. We didn't get any racist sayings or horrible non-acceptance. In fact, the husbands were accepted very, very warmly. So that's kind of my background, and I don't know if that's, if you want more, kind of brings me up to where I am now.
Yeah, that's great, but, maybe this radio show that you heard, because I think that's a pretty interesting thing that people, all of a sudden, even that they can't maybe prove it, they instantly kind of resonates with what is being said. Maybe that you knew that it was the truth that you heard on that radio show, but you couldn't prove it. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it's interesting because, as I said, I had some experience this morning. I seem to have, a lot of my friendships have changed since I've been talking about the things I talk about.
Yeah.
And there's one female friend that I've still managed to salvage. It's a friendship with a Jewish woman who happens to be pro-Israel, and she started sending me all this information today, and I started sending her things back, and she just said, let's not even talk about this. And I said, but you don't even read what I say. And she says, well, you have your opinion, I have mine. And it's now, with somebody like this person, she would not resonate with anything I had heard. She would just kind of close her ears to it. So I don't know what the difference is. I don't know why. It's not that I'm gullible and believe everything I hear. It's just that sometimes I feel that my intuition's pretty good.
Yeah.
And when I heard this, for some reason, and I had a certain amount of confidence in the host, and also I have this philosophy that you can't hang on to belief systems. You have to, otherwise you're uneducable.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to change totally, not to accept anything as truth. Because I think then we're doomed, and I wonder if we're doomed anyway. After this morning, I wonder if we're doomed. But I I really believed it, and when I was listening to Taking Aim, the fact that this man and his wife had lived in the refugee camps in the 80s and had seen what was going on in the Middle East firsthand,
Yeah.
and he really shattered the prevalent myths of Zionism. He shattered everything that I had heard.
Yeah.
And from there on in, I was on a train that I couldn't get off.
Hmm.
It wasn't always I mean, it's been a very bumpy ride, but I feel for some reason I've accepted this mission or role, and I have to continue doing it because we're in. To me, when I just heard somebody say something about going from nervous to scared, and I think that we're in a very frightening position now.
It feels kind of like that. Yes, I agree. And I mean, is it anything that you can point at, put your finger on? I mean, what is it that makes this time different now than maybe?
Well, I think also the fact that as I've done my research and read all these articles, which are, I mean, my mailbox is a disaster. I couldn't possibly read everything that comes in without going blind. But when I begin reading about how long these plans have really been in effect, I was reading things about the Illuminati and the third pope of the Illuminati, Albert Pike, who talks about the 3 world wars, and he talked about them in the 1800s.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a prophet. I mean, it was just like almost telling what was going to happen.
Yeah.
He said the first 2 would be with Germany, and the third would be between the Zionists and Islam.
Yeah.
Now, here we are,
Yes.
and it feels like we've been set up that we're just kind of I love the expression sheeple. I mean, I don't love being one, but I think it's very descriptive.
Yeah, it is.
And we're lambs to the slaughter.
Yeah.
And we've been set up, and I think both sides have. I've written also about how the Jews have been duped, and then I took it upon myself. Well, I figured, maybe because of my background, even though I'm not a practicing Jew at this point, I would have more of an ability to help to open Jewish eyes.
Yeah.
But it's almost it's like banging my head against the wall.
Mm.
And so you have people who are warring, and the United States supplying all this ammunition, and a lot of people in the United States falling for every false flag, every faux terror attack, and just not even questioning the some of it is so ludicrous that I don't see how anybody can believe it.
Yeah.
And then we have things just kind of getting worse and worse in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And we have this thing that happened in Great Britain, and too many people are predicting that there's going to be these attacks in the United States.
Yeah.
And that people are going to believe them, and it's going to be a very easy jump from here to martial law.
Yeah.
Or the bird flu is another, thing that people are afraid of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I mean, are they still, ramping that over there? I mean, is it?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I was listening to something where they were talking about. It was a Dr. Carly, actually, and she was talking about how to combat the vaccine, since there are so many people that don't even know how destructive vaccines